I was literally driving on the highway in Joburg listening to the song that I quote at the start of the book, which is Max Romeo and Lee Perry's Chase the Devil. It's so perfectly Joburg. Joburg is a constant battle between good and evil. So the song lyrics that I'm going to put on an iron shirt and chase Satan out of the earth has a lot of resonance. It feels like, I think that's what a lot of people do every day in Joburg. For me, I almost literalized that into a fight against evil, not in a moral sense, but in a supernatural sense or a magical sense. Knucklebone, from the moment it popped into my head as a fully formed idea, was always about the magic. And I don't mean the happy magic, I mean the scary, dark magic, which I don't think you have to believe in magic to accept that there are some really unpleasant forces at play, and that sometimes this exhibits in human behavior that you can't purely explain through biology and psychology. You know, Johannesburg is the kind of city that exists on the edge of imagination, where ideas, reality, people start to fray in parts, and it's there at that sort of frayed edge of the imagination where everything is not just possible but plausible. You could believe that this is Joburg. And I think with Knucklebone it is. I really enjoyed writing as a man, and I think I would absolutely do it again. Writing allows you to inhabit lots of different headspaces. And men have written as women for centuries, so why shouldn't we be able to sit in that seat of power for a little bit and feel what it feels like to be threatened by some things, but not by others? The challenge with writing the bad characters in a crime book is you wonder, who are you stereotyping? I had a lot of moments of anxiety around that in particular. It's much easier when you write a positive role model character, but when you portray a woman as a witch, literally, are you just playing into stereotypes and tropes? Am I being a bad feminist? Someone has to do the killing, you know? In a crime story, someone has to pull the trigger. Someone has to be the bad guy. You can't have a crime story without bad people. Ian Jack fiddled with the chin strap on his helmet and tried not to think about how much of an idiot he looked. The bowl-shaped cap fit badly, and the padding smelled of someone else's sweat. The bulletproof vest was the same, sitting too high on his shoulders and cutting into his arms whenever he reached forward. Central to the crime story in this book is really animal poaching, animal trafficking. And when I first started writing the book, rhinos were top of the headlines. We were losing the war. We were being told all sorts of things about their extinction. This is, again, it's a very plausible backstory, even though in this instance it's understanding poaching as a source of magical wealth rather than just pure financial wealth. When I started writing the book, it always had a very strong element of African traditional beliefs in it, and that meant doing not just online research but in-person research about things that I didn't really know that much about, which was particularly Ubungoma, the work of Isangoma, and how they saw the world, how they navigated the world. The writing process for fiction is slower, completely different. I agonize a lot over sentences. I go back and rework through my previous day's output, hate half of the stuff that I've put in there. It's slow going and painful, but the writing part's great. The editing part is absolute hell. I spent time working with different people to give me different input on the different beliefs that I was trying to incorporate in the book. Joburg doesn't just exist from a white Jewish woman's perspective, and this book certainly is not that book. I think what was also interesting once the book was in a fairly final manuscript form was to go through it again with people who would critique the way I had written about certain things. What was really interesting were the small word decisions where I was called out for preconceptions, preconceived ideas around a person, a culture, a religion, a race. Tiny things that creep into your everyday and you never think twice about them until someone says, hey, that's an uncomfortable term. So I appreciated their guidance beyond just the book. That said, did I get it right every time? I don't know. There is a very strong possibility that there are threads or parts of the book that will make some people uncomfortable. And that might be from representations of all different types of religions. I think fiction plays an important role in making us occasionally look at things differently, creating discomfort in some ways. If I created unintentional discomfort, then I'll have to apologize for it. So there is a sequel planned to this book. It's already plotted out. It's pretty awesome, actually. But like most things, depends on how the first one goes down. So if people want to know more about what happens to Ian, Jack and Reshma Patel, and they'd like to see them as recurring characters, then they have to buy the hell out of this book.